Recording in progress.
This works, chill.
Good morning. We're going to get started. Please take your seats. So welcome to the 2025 Semiahmoo Resort Association Annual General Meeting.
There you are. My gosh, it's been a while.
Thank you so much for coming. And
Oh, man.
I'm Debbie Paucan, the SRA Board President. We have the General Manager here, Aaron Hassan. I'm gonna say thank you to the staff for working on their weekend. We also have Lori Thorne at the back. Lori is admin staff, and she also did a lot of work on the election. And Carol, our ASC staff member, and Elisa back in the corner, another administrative staff member. So yeah, and thank you all for being here. We have the resort general manager as well, Mark Andrew is back there.
Morning, thank you for making the hike from distant parts of the parking lot in here. Busy resort, thank heaven. Yeah.
Okay, so the agenda,
Okay.
there were hard copies available as you came in. Okay, my hands are gonna be full here.
I'll
That's
work it.
working, that's.
I'll
good.
work it.
So you wanna,
I got it.
I'll do the clicker.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so the introduction of the meeting, and let me know if I'm not holding the microphone so that you can hear. So the SRA board members, again, I'm Debbie, the president. April Hashimoto was a vice president and governance committee chair. Tom McDaniel, the secretary, he's not here today. Rod Nib over there, next to Aaron. He's the treasurer and finance committee chair. Carrie Clevenger. Here, the architectural standards committee liaison. Karen Brennan, communication committee chair. David Moon, way on the far side, maintenance committee chair, and it doesn't show here, but he was doing triple duty by also being on the architectural standards committee. Delia Albertstein, the safety and security committee chair. And Luc Clement, the environmental committee chair. I believe he is in Israel right now.
Yes.
Past and current presidents. I think it's interesting that you've been here about 10 years, but actually knew the very first president, Bill Dolph, a very nice man. So I think this is about 32 years of presidents, if I've done my math right. I want to recognize our past president, April Hashimoto, for a couple of her accomplishments. She was instrumental in recruiting and the hiring of our general manager, Aaron, and also in rebuilding our reserve fund. Certification of quorum, so at 46.53%, we've reached quorum for all of the various ballot questions that we had. Election notification with 764 emails sent and 125 election notifications sent via regular mail. The community was duly notified, but I'd like to urge anyone who's still getting regular mail notifications to try to switch to electronic and email. So this is our mission and vision statement. So our mission is to enhance and preserve the natural beauty, harmonious design, quality of life, sense of community, and we do this by managing funds properly, enforcing our rules, communicating regularly, openly, planning for the future, and maintaining our assets properly. So here are some of the high impact priorities that we've accomplished recently. Since last year's AGM, the Goldfinch Way retaining wall has been completed. And I'd like to recognize Carrie Clevenger for championing that project. Yeah.
Happy.
And for Aaron, who shepherded it through to completion at the end of late 2024. So, so everybody on the board has done a lot of work, but there are a couple of people I'm gonna recognize specifically for some of the accomplishments. So the Drayton Hillside Recreational Easement Road was cleaned up this year. It's been a ways coming to get that completed. So it allows both pedestrian access, which people enjoy, but very importantly, it allows the maintenance worker to take a truck or a quad with their equipment in order to go and maintain the bioswale. So I'm gonna say thanks to David Moon for championing that project and for our wonderful maintenance staff with Leroy Dougal and his crew for doing the work personally. We did that in-house. And ignore what Brad Otto says on Nextdoor, saying that the city of Blaine did it. So it was actually our SRA maintenance crew who did it. Yeah. So the beach stairs at Boundary Ridge, their restoration is nearly complete. There have been a couple of little challenges in fortifying the posts and stuff, so it's taken maybe a bit longer than we had first hoped. And I'd like to thank everyone who voted last year for the special assessment that gave us the funding in order to get that completed. The wildfire mitigation grants. So we received grants, and the SRA helped the NHOAs apply. So we were fortunate that Delia on the Safety and Security Committee leveraged her governmental partners in many ways to help with wildfire mitigation. But we happened to be in a meeting when Robert Walters announced that there was a grant available. And government grants are the time between announcement and application deadline. It's famously very short. And in this case, it was only 2 weeks. So as soon as we found this was announced, Delia, Aaron, and I worked very quickly in that 2 weeks. We had to do things like get a government pay EID, because we had one where you pay, but we had to have one where you receive funds. Delia worked very closely with Robert Walters in order to know how to write the grants so that they would be successful, what kind of things to put in them. And after we kind of had the whole thing down, we worked very hard to relay all this information to the the neighborhood HOAs that have forested buffer areas so that they could apply for the grants quickly with all the proper information and be successful. Okay, so the next bullet, construction compliance consultant, John Gordon was our person for many years, but he retired this year. And we had to recruit a new one, hire a new one. And in the interim, after John Gordon retired, I wanted to thank, I don't think he's here, Ken Johns, who filled in, because he had the role in past years, so he filled in to help us out with that until we hired the new person.
And Brian Morton.
And Brian Morton as well? Okay, yeah. I don't see Brian here. But anyway, thanks to them. So, speaking of retirements, our SRA attorney retires at the end of this year. So we had to go through the process of recruiting, interviewing, and hiring a new legal counsel for the SRA. And we did the vote on that at the October board meeting. So we have new legal counsel in place. So let's see, the next bullet, if you could leave questions till the end, please. Okay. Okay, so the next bullet talks about the maintenance work that we're able to do in-house because of Leroy Dougal, who's very skilled at many things. He can repair and drive the street sweeper, snow plows. This year, one of the gates was taken out. That happens periodically, that somebody runs into the gates. He's just able to take it off and take the bend out and fix it himself. And if we have to pay for it, I think it's cost between $5,000 and $10,000. So that's been very helpful for us having Leroy's skills. And last bullet, managing investments. So we've got our cash in low risk interest bearing accounts. So trying to get as much interest as possible by still complying with the low risk criteria. And then watching the maturity dates so that we have enough cash flow at the right time to pay our bills. Okay. So challenges ahead. We'll continue to look at how to maximize efficiencies, to look out for memberships resources. And we have we talked about Leroy already there in the second bullet. And then we have housing developments within the SRA, Inverness, Prestwick Village 2, and Carnoustie. And it's Aaron, Brian Berg, and Ken Johns have given a lot of oversight to those. Am I right, Aaron, with those? Yeah, those people? Okay. So there's also housing developments outside of the SRA that impact us, such as A-Vista. So one thing I heard recently is it's not decided whether A-Vista will be county or city of Blaine, but I did hear that if it's city of Blaine, that they plan to require a 100-foot buffer instead of the current 20-foot buffer that we have at Seasmoke, which seems to create a lot of issues. With a 100-foot buffer, you can kind of maintain that sort of natural forestry. So another challenge is the new state law, Senate Bill 5796. In July of 2018, there was a new law, RCW 6490. And, in 2018, the board at the time, and maybe with some input from the membership, they decided to stay with the old law, RCW 6438. But by 1/1/28, all HOAs are going to be required to convert to the new law. And so our lawyer will start reviewing our governing documents for compliance starting this year.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to do my presentation from sitting here as I'm moving slides and such as well. Debbie did a great job of introducing the administrative team with Carol and Lori and Elisa, and it's great working with them on a day-to-day basis. This is my second year. I finished my second year. My anniversary was actually Thursday. So I've been here with the SRA for 2 years. Some of the major projects I've been working on, I've been engaged with the city of Plain, talking about the different projects that Debbie was referring to with Inverness, with Carnoustie, as well as with Prestwick too. I'm actively continuing working with the ASC group for anything and everything that they need my help with. With John Gordon's retirement, I have become the active ASC committee chair at this time. Myself and the administrative staff have been instrumental in organizing all the membership town halls for this year. And of course, as Debbie alluded to, I've been working with Delia and her on the wildfire grants. I'm hoping you know our maintenance team, and you see them out quite a bit. Leroy and Mike, Joe's new with us. He's been with us about since the beginning of the summer. Actually, him and I are, Mike and him are best friends. And it works out really well. They have been doing a great job. Our summer help also helped out really well. Having the extra bodies available allowed the team to do the work that Debbie alluded to down on the Drayton Harbor easement in regards to bringing in the equipment, cutting out that tree that was cutting across the walkway, expanding that walkway and making it passable for everyone. I will remind everyone, we've moved the barrier that originally was at the very front of the spit that told everybody it was closed or kind of use it at your own risk. We've moved it to the very back area to where that area was cleared, and just remind everyone, especially during the winter time, if you're going to use it, which we hope you will, just be careful. We don't know what the waters are going to do. We don't know if it's going to bring other trees down, if it's going to bring any kind of mud across there. So please be careful when you're walking along there, but please enjoy it and utilize it for all your activity needs. Ongoing projects with our maintenance, and then in conjunction with David and the maintenance committee. The biggest projects we have right now, of course, are stormwater maintenance. We're out there making sure all the catch basins are cleaned, bioswales are ready. We finished a large project of road crack sealing and curb repairs this year, and have another list already for 2026 that has been started. Debbie alluded to gate repairs. We did have one gate that was actually bent to almost a V point. When somebody hit that, Leroy dismantled it and reassembled it, welded it back together, repainted it, and you would never know that it was ever hitting him. So kudos to him and his team. He worked with, the team worked with Beth and some of our ASC landscaping as well to get all the plantings done around the front entryways and inside the gates. Thank you, Beth, for all your help with that. I really appreciate it, and so do the boys. As usual, they're always updating the manual for maintenance and for landscaping. All entrance gates except for the one which is Sea Smoke have been painted green. That was kind of everybody's goal and direction. We made that happen. There's still a few gates that are going to need some rails on the top. You will see those metal rails. They are helping with the guide, and it also helps with the paint not coming off. and making it look really, really bad, and allows us for a little bit longer longevity on those gates as well. The beach stairs, yeah, they've taken a lot longer than we expected. And I'll be honest with that. My conversation with the contractor last week was they have actually finally finished all the posts and the supporting posts with the concrete and the wood. The last set of wood, and materials for the bottom stairs came in last week, and he rejected all of it and sent it back. It was not to his quality and his standards. So we're waiting for the last load to come for them to finish. I'm gonna guess 2 to 2.5 weeks, is the target at this point, barring any other issues that come up with that. The Goldfinch wall, which we finished last year, the cleanup again for the Drayton Harbor, the recreational easement, in conjunction and direction and help with David Moon and the rest of the maintenance committee. We will have a long-term plan to help widen that out. We're kind of gonna see each year how the weather affects it, and how we're gonna be able to shore it up accordingly. And then, of course, the maintenance team also helping out with the wildfire committee and trying to get everything done and moving forward with that as well. Members this year, we've got 49 new members this past year, from October to October. And Lori is constantly getting changes and or sales. I know that I've heard through the grapevines and speaking with some of the agents in this area that sales are up and down. So those numbers will probably change as we move forward. I'm also tasked with doing the Treasurer and Finance Committee report as well today. The Treasurer and Finance Chair is sitting as we speak.
Let me just say one word before he gets started, because this man deserves a lot of credit. Normally, as the treasurer, in this presentation, I would be giving this presentation, but I want to say no experience in my professional life presenting data and information that I didn't have any role in creating. And Aaron and along with the expert accounting advice of Tom Lampe have largely been responsible for doing the underlying data analysis and creating these slides. And so it only seems right to me that he presents the work that he did. So that's why he's doing it today. And I'm basically abdicating my responsibility and sorry about that. But he's really good at the mic too.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So I'm gonna run through this pretty quickly. The structure of the accounting, our current final position, our financial position, our actuals for this year compared to the budget moving forward, the final of the 2026 budget, the audit, and then the finance committee itself. Everybody, I hope, knows there's two elements to the accounting structure here, or for any HOA. There's an operating fund and there's a restricted reserve fund. Operating fund is, of course, our day-to-day paying salaries, going to the maintenance store, things, putting gas in the vehicles, things like that. Your restricted reserve fund is your major projects, your infrastructure, your roads, your major projects like the stairs, like Goldfinch, like Drayton Harbor easement, all those kinds of things. And that's where the monies come from and how they are put together when we put the budget together. Our cash position as of the end of September was 1.47 million. 590K was in operating, 895K in our restrictive fund. Our fixed asset is the building equipment and vehicles, which total up to close to $1 million. Our biggest debt is the mortgage on the SRA building in 2020. It's at an interest rate of 5.0 at this point, with a loan balance of 539K. Excuse me. Actual versus budget. Revenues total 1.48 compared to 1.47. Higher interest. It's been nice to get a little bit of higher interest as the interest rates have been fluctuating quite a bit. Our administrative expenses are higher than budgeted at this point. Some of that is compensation and benefits, as well as our architectural committee expenses as well. Our maintenance expenses are below. A lot of that is saving in-house with the street sweeper, but also with lower salaries. Some of that is just the in and out of our staff that we've been having throughout the year, vacations, all that kind of stuff. So some of those numbers are down. For 2026, operating fund expense total will be 1.23, which is 4.8% higher than the 25 budget. Our administrative spending is higher in 26 due to salary benefits and salaries, insurance rates that are unexpected, legal fees, with the retirement, as Debbie mentioned, to our attorney, and the hiring of a new one, as well as the start of the compliance check on our CCNRs, moving forward for the 2028 deadline. Repairs and maintenance are higher. Again, personnel and salaries, monies for wildfire mitigation in regards to trees and ground cover removal. And we've offset hopefully as much as we can with, of course, our in-house work, as opposed to it being outside. Reserve funds, expenditures of about $346,000. We've got a lot of different things that we're gonna be working on with roadways, stormwater, entrance gates, the facilities building itself. And unfortunately, it's tough to be able to see some of this and be able to understand it when there's the last year's one-time or this year's one-time $150,000 special assessment that's not included in that to compare against. For 2026, your operating assessment will be $344 per unit, 4% increase from 2025. This follows a 7% increase from the year before. Your restrictive reserve assessment is $94, which is a 5% increase over 25. Your total assessment is gonna be a 4.5 increase over this year, at $438 per assessable unit. The 2024 audit was completed. It took a little bit longer than what we expected, just because they were busy and just making sure we were in the right financial position. It was a clean audit. There's the same audit firm that we've used in the past and we will continue to use moving forward. The reserve study that was done included this year was a higher level reserve study where we had the reserve agent out on site, walking, taking pictures, asking questions with me, and such like that. So all of that is working as well. Yeah. I won't go through the balance sheet and or the letter. Those are available online for you to review if you wish to. Again, we'll be using the same audit firm in 2026 to do the 25 audit. We have controls in place via the finance committee. Checks that go out have 2 signatures on them and require 2 signatures. The financials are audited by one of the financial committees every month. So I'm comfortable where we are on a financial basis and our standards and our controls. Finance committee, again, monthly financial reporting, you see them as we go through the budget or the board meetings every month. They're reviewed every month by the finance committee, and they're audited every year by an external audit firm. Cash management, we review it every month. We take a look at where we're at and make sure we're in compliance with investment policies. With the 2026 budget, I prepared it. It was reviewed by the finance committee and changes were made. It was reviewed and finalized and approved by the board. The reserve studies, I spent approximately 2 months on. I rewrote almost the entire reserve study, making sure that expected lives and some of the expense costs were correct. And the finance committee helped me in that guideline as well.
Committee recognition. So, last year, after our AGM, I got some input from people. They especially said, can you make it go quicker? So one thing, this year we have 62 slides instead of 80 slides. And, Don Delaney made a suggestion that we put all
the World's Fair turned out to be a pretty successful venture. Other things you may know me from, I renovated the Westin Bayshore. The Westin Bayshore, when I took it over, was an icon in the Vancouver hospitality community, but it was an older icon. Opened in the early 60s. We had the likes of Howard Hughes stay with us. By the year 2000, we needed to renovate. We spent $50 million on that property, turning it around. And if anybody like Trader Vic's, remember Trader Vic's, how great I'm the one that's responsible for getting rid of it. But I wanted to make sure we saved it and we put it over to Nanaimo on the Vancouver Island. But through that renovation, we revitalized the Westin Bayshore and really made it back into what it could and should be, which is a staple in the Vancouver industry. It was really on its way out at that point in time. So Westin Bayshore has come a long ways. After that, I worked for Fairmont Hotels and Resorts. I was a vice president for them. I had the Hotel Vancouver, opened the Pacific Rim, the waterfront, Fairmont Vancouver Airport, Whistler, Banff Springs, Jasper Park Lodge, and the Olympic in Seattle. So really a great region for them. In 2013, I actually resigned from Fairmont, wanted to come back home. My mother was going through some challenges. She eventually passed away, but she was living in Linden, Washington. So I went ahead and took over this little teeny place we were reopening back then. They were looking for a general manager to run what's called Semiahmoo Resort Golf and Spa. So I was the GM here in 2013, 14, 15, 16. So if I look familiar, that's why, maybe a little older. But I was also on the SRA board all through that time, proudly, because it's really about creating a destination. It's about giving people a reason and an experience. Nobody comes to the resort to sleep. They come for an experience. Nobody comes just to hit a golf ball. They come for the resort, the golf experience, the spa experience. So after that, I in 2016 was hired by a company called Canyon Ranch, and we have resorts all over the world, 16 cruise ships. I had resorts in Kaplan-Kaya, Tucson, Arizona. Again, love traveling around. Came back home to run Tapestry, which is seniors living, and that's where sure one of the rumors that I'm going to turn this into a seniors home comes from. But I ran Tapestry Seniors Homes, which was we had homes in Victoria, Vancouver, one in UBC, one in Toronto, one in Calgary. And Tapestry is a great operation. I ran it pre and during COVID. Nobody within Tapestry, thank heaven, passed away from COVID-19. So I consider that a big win. And Tapestry it's active aging, independent adult community. So it was very successful. Then in 2022, I joined Columbia Hospitality. When I joined, I wanted to come back and be part of what's happening at Semiahmoo. I knew that we had a great future. That wasn't necessarily in the cards because they needed me to run some properties in Canada and some properties in Walla Walla, Washington. I'm not sure how they thought I could run Naramata in Penticton and Walla Walla, but so I was doing that. And then about a year and a half ago, we got a new general manager here, Andy, and brought him on board, Andy Tennis. And they wanted at that point a new regional vice president. So they had me come in. So I've had the opportunity of working with Andy over the past year and a half, getting back involved with the resort. Then in April of 25, this past April, Andy and his wife decided to move to Portugal, and which is, when you're young and carefree, go for it. So he's living in beautiful Portugal. Actually, he's now living in Ireland. And so when they said, how do we find a GM for this resort? It really needs somebody that's going to, first of all, stick around, and number two, is going to take it to where it ought to go. And proudly stood up, said, I want to be here. It's a resort I know well. I know the people that work here. I know a lot of the team members that we have. I currently live in Linden, Washington with my wife of 43 years and our black lab, Maggie. So we're close enough to the grandkids in Canada, our other grandkids in Boston. And it's a great opportunity for me to come back and I think give back to something I'm pretty proud of. I really love this resort. So For the immediate future, some of the things we've been working on since I got back involved. One, a year ago, we just redid the pool. That was a big expense. We're not trying to, at this point going forward, we're not going to patch things. We're going to fix things. The steam rooms are an example. The saunas are example. We're going to continue to go ahead and take Semiahmoo and move it forward. There's a lot of capital spend. One of the first things we have to do is stop losing $2 million between November and April. That's a tough pill to swallow. You can kind of see why maybe they closed it back in the 2009, 2010. It's an expensive location if not run right. We know our secret is group. We know our secret is filling the property with group business because they'll pay the rate. Probably not a lot of us want to pay $400 a night for a room, but the group will. The group will come in like right now. Again, thank you all for walking from far ends of the parking lot to where we're at. We have a group in-house. They're not paying $400 a night, but they are a group in the month of in October, November, which is wonderful. And they're filling the resort. So we're going to really work on going after group business going forward. The big picture, starting in April, we've got a couple of good pieces of business. We have a nice group coming in over Christmas this year. It's a religious group. They are we don't have to take down the Christmas trees. It's not a Christian religious group. It's I'm not even gonna guess. It's a different, but we've had them here before. And somebody said, well, when they come, do we really want them here? You know, they wash their feet in the sink. Okay, hey, I'll wash their feet if they come here in December. So they're checking in. It's a wonderful group, and they're coming here to enjoy what Semiahmoo is, which is a special place in and of itself. We have we've got big things happening, changes, some operational changes. Packers Pierside, I remember it as Pierside, but it's the other side of Packers. That is available for private rental between October and April. So lots of people will rent that out. Just the other night, we had a Microsoft group rented Packers. We've got groups renting it for holiday parties. If anybody's interested in Packers during the what we call the cozy season, which is again October through April, please let us know. Seaview Cafe is open, serving a full menu from breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and the bar is open. We've got the property itself. We have 200 guest rooms here, 196. Of those 196, we actually have a majority of them on the south wing, which we will keep open because that allows us to do interior renovation work on some of the other rooms and keep them at the right temperature so pipes don't freeze. Apparently 2 years ago, we lost some rooms because of that. We are going to still continue to do things. The paint and sip, which a lot of people know about, we're going to be doing that on November 26th. That's a Thanksgiving themed paint and sip from 4 till 6. A paint and sip on December 23rd from 4 till 6. We have the Justin Wine Dinner, which is coming up on the latter part of this month. Actually, it's in the beginning part of November. That is already sold out. If you haven't been to our wine dinners, you have to try them. About a year and a half ago, we had one with a Bayhawk. A bit of an embarrassment. We have subsequently turned around a lot. We have a new chef. Chef Debbie is amazing. We have two amazing chef leaders and several amazing culinarians. But Chef Debbie here, Chef Kelly up at Great Blue Heron, they're doing amazing. If you haven't tried the food that these chefs are preparing, please do. The Justin Wine Dinner is sold out. We have the Doc Swinson's Whiskey Dinner on December 6th. That is now sold out. I don't know, maybe even tell me. Oh, but on December 20th, we have Camus Wine Dinner. Camus is a wonderful wine, and tickets will go on sale. If you're interested in these events, always check out our websites. I don't mean to turn this into an advertisement for Semiahmoo, but I will. We plan to continue hosting special dinners each month through April. The Semiahmoo Sips is available every Friday and Saturday from 2 to 4. At Great Blue Heron, you know we have comedy night tonight. There's actually a big comedy huge event happening in Bellingham today. So if you want to go to comedy, go to Bellingham today, because tonight the comedy event at Great Blue Heron sold out already. And they have great comedians. These aren't just somebody thinking they're funny. Every other Wednesday, we've got trivia night. This coming Thanksgiving, we have Thanksgiving dinner here. Make your reservation soon. We're not going to have a huge thing in the ballroom like we used to. We're going to be doing it in stars. It's going to be family style. If you want turkey to go up at Great Blue Heron, you can put your order in and get turkey and go pick it up. It's actually pretty cool. They did it last year. The Halloween party next Friday. Come dressed up, go crazy at Great Blue Heron. And the holiday party. How many people are members of the Semiahmoo Country Club? And so if you're planning on attending the Semiahmoo Country Club Christmas party, holiday party, which is on December 6th, people say, why don't we do things together? Well, we do. If people want to stay, we are having special rate here, take an elevator home, even though the holiday party's up there, long elevator maybe, but come on down to the resort for $99 if you are attending that event. They've got a live band. We've got a live band we're looking at for New Year's Eve. We want to do something a little bit different. So we want to try to activate things. Look at the website, see what's happening for us. Jeff Maylard, who is our general manager at Semiahmoo Country Club, wanted me to remind everybody, the golf course, don't take your dogs out there. No bike riding on the course, bicycle riding on the course, but just because he doesn't want people to get injured. Wanted me to pass that along. Looking ahead, what are we doing? Again, I don't want to lose a couple $1 million between now and November, or now and April. So we won't. We're going to staff to demand. We're going to run it as efficiently as we can. We're also going to be doing some renovations. The owners have approved a new boiler, which is great. New boiler is $85,000. We have 4. All of them are original, circa 1986. So we've got in first quarter of next year, we replaced the second one. We're a tune of $150,000. We're looking at repainting the resort. You notice paint peeling. We see it all the time. You can't just slap paint up. Anybody who paints knows that if you do that, it just falls off right away. So we want to have that done right. That's $1 million change. The windows need to be repaired because air comes in and out. We all know how things age in homes and stuff like that. So that's $1 million repair. The golf course, we need a lot more equipment to keep it running, keep it doing what they need to do. It's a lot of spend. Our owners are committed to that. To answer a question I've received, are we closing January 1? Our owners are committed to that not being the case. We are committed. I'm committed to that not being the case. I want to go ahead and see us continue to flourish. We've got to change the way we operate, though. If we operate like we always did, we will not get what we always got. The world's different. 13% of our business used to come from Canada. Right now, I think the only one crossing sometimes is me. I know a lot more people come across, but we're not going to see the business we used to have, is what it is. We have a great resort here. We're attracting business. We've just got we're looking at a lot of hotel resort buyouts where people can buy the whole resort. Universities, UW, for example, loves the fact they can bring students, faculty here, have seminars, and they're self-contained on the spit. We just had a group here a week ago, the Seattle Chamber of Commerce Leadership Group. They had their whole conference here because they wanted people to come experience Semiahmoo, but they also didn't want to lose people during the day. You know how if you attend a conference in downtown Seattle, you attend one of the meetings you want, then you go back to your office or you go to a restaurant or whatever. Here, it's a captive audience. We know that. We're playing to that target market. This group we have right now is Family Life. Beautiful group, all about spiritually helping people better get along with each other. So are we going to support that? 100%. You have a high-rated business in the summer months. The World Cup is coming. You don't know about it. June 7th through July 7th, we will be busy in this part of the world. If all of you are looking to go on vacation, choose that time to go. Rent your house out. They have games in Seattle, and they have they have matches in Seattle, matches in Vancouver. There will be a lot of people going in between. So June 7th through July 7th, that's when I would plan to leave if I could. So that 1 month, and rent your house out for however people do that stuff. That will be an important. Okay, never mind. You can't do that. but just know it's going to be busy at that time. We've got, this year we had 11 weddings at the resort. Next year we have 15 weddings already on the books and already double the revenue. So we're doing it different, smarter, how those weddings happen. Our goal is to have 30 to 35 weddings at the resort. I was here in 2013. That was our goal. When I left in 2016, we had 38, I believe, weddings. It's just what we should do. We should attract weddings at this place. I know everybody these days wants to get married in a barn. So just notice that I'm going to be cleaning out the barn back there and putting weddings out there. That's what they want. We'll do whatever is legal and kind to take care of our guests. So I wanted to come up and just give you a little bit of the future is not smooth as a calm lake. You know, there are going to be bumps. There's going to be challenges that we're going to go through. It is Semiahmoo Resort Golf and Spa. We've got an amazing golf course. We've spent a ton of money on there. When I was here before, we had Loomis Trail, and part of the deal of getting rid of Loomis Trail was to enhance Semiahmoo, and that happened because if you remember the irrigation system we had before, the irrigation system was just amazing, awful, and so we spent a lot of money replacing that. So our owners are the same owners that own things like the Space Needle. They owned a lot of stuff. They're in it for the long run. They're in it for development. They're in it because they really believe that Semiahmoo is an integral part of this community. So we're blessed to have people. I had the heater for the pool broke down. We have two, and it broke down. Somebody said, "Why don't I have another heater?" Well, because they're $8,000. But when I went to the ownership, said I need to buy a new heater, they just said, "Fine, that's what you got to do. You got to do." So we're blessed to have that kind of partnership on our owners. So the go forward is positive. It will be bumpy. We're going to do things. I'm going to make mistakes. I look forward to feedback. I'm very excited about being back on the SRA board. I think I'm on. Maybe you'll tell me at the end of this. Maybe I might have just wrapped that up. But I'm excited because it really is about the community. It's about, as I said, I live in Linden, but my wife and I, our house is for sale. We want to move closer here. Because this is where I think not a place to retire, but I think a place to refire and to really refire to get us to that next level. So being a part of this in the community is a very important part to me. So on that note, should I be taking questions or do you want me to do that later? They might ask really tough questions. Okay. Who has the first question that hopefully I have not answered by my little dissertation?
I have one.
Yes.
Can you talk about the rationale for closing Packers?
Absolutely. Packers is a beautiful restaurant. We actually created it, as you'll recall, in 2013-14. And we have back here a huge kitchen, big banquet kitchen, which you would need to serve our 16,000 square feet of meeting space, the tent and all. Packers has its own kitchen. When you operate Packers, the labor that goes into Packers requires a couple of line cooks, dishwasher, a couple of stewards, backup prep work, which we already have in the main kitchen. And again, I will totally be truthful with everybody. That is expensive. What you don't see is expensive. Additionally, you have a front of the house cook you have to have out there. Then you have Packers in and of itself, which is beautiful space. So it costs a lot to keep that running. I have this heart of the house. I do banquets all year round. So you keep the main kitchen running. The main kitchen's bigger than this room here, actually. And if anybody wants to go on a private tour of it, let me know sometime. I'd love to show you the heart of the house. And it's a lot. So Packers, beautiful place, but it's way at the end of the hallway here. And we when you look at the summer season, it makes sense because everything's alive. People are walking the spit. All the rooms are occupied. There's a lot of activity. Packers can be sustained. During the winter, the cozy season, there are times, we were sold out last night, sold out tonight. 2 nights ago, I had 10 rooms occupied. 2 nights from now, I have 10 rooms occupied. 10 rooms. Imagine going to a resort. You're checking in. You go to the hallway, get to your room. It's nice, what you want. Then you want to go to some place, but if you come here for dinner, it's like, well, yes, for dinner, you go down that long hallway. Then you make a left, go down the other hallway, and at the end's an empty restaurant, you're gonna sit by yourself. It is not appealing. It is our biggest complaint. Why is it open? So taking Seaview Cafe, having our chef go ahead and create a menu. We're not done yet. That menu in Seaview is evolving, but create a menu where people can go ahead and say, gosh, I want breakfast, I want lunch, I want dinner, I want to have a beer and watch the sunset. It's a beautiful view from Seaview. It's, no, you're not sitting right up on top of the water, but it's a beautiful view. Conversely, I have now freed up space that people say, oh, I'd love to have an event there. So book it. So we've booked Packers several times in the month of December for holiday parties. We booked it, as I mentioned, just the other night. We had a group in there 2 nights ago. They buy out Packers. I sell it 1 day a week for events happening that fill some guest rooms. It makes more money than it did the entire month if it had been open during the summer. So it's strictly a financial decision. It allows us to also labor-wise during the some winter months to keep a consistent crew, and then we hire up seasonally for summer and then go back down. We have a lot of seasonal people, a lot of people in Packers. They are now working at Hotel Leo, which is also one of my properties, and the Fairhaven Village Inn. So if you want to go see some of those team members, they're down there. And we're opening that, so it is a desired location. It's much like the tent. Everybody wants to get married in the tent. Sorry, I've got too long an answer. If there's more questions, I think Debbie will call me up afterwards. I'm getting the boot.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. And then there'll be time when we're done with our regular presentation, if people have more questions for Mark. Yeah, so, and also thank you, Mark, for looking to keep the resort financially viable. We all know when the resort has closed down at certain times, what that did to our property values. And so we're all kind of in this together. It's great if we have the resort open and doing well. Okay, so back at the ranch. Okay. So the committee recognition, and I'm gonna go through this quickly. So here's the Architectural Standards Committee. I'm not gonna read everybody's name, but many thanks to all the volunteers and the staff. And just saying that on the 25th of September, we got a new construction compliance consultant, Shaba Mundi, when John Gordon retired.
And just as a recognition, he's on Zoom for the meeting today, so we appreciate having him as part of our team.
And I recognize some of his relatives, I think, also. Where's here? Yeah, okay. Communications Committee. Okay, thanks. Aaron, you're forwarding it for me, thanks. Okay, yeah, so just saying thank you to the Communications Committee. The Elections Committee, thank you for your work. Environmental Committee. Oops, I think
You did it.
I did. Finance Committee, thank you. Governance Committee, thank you. Maintenance Committee, many thanks. Safety and Security Committee, volunteers, thank you. Other community reports. Okay. So I'm going to mention about committees in general, that the board is going to look at the structure of committees. We've tabled that discussion for the future. So this is other committee reports. We've already talked about the Maintenance Committee and the Finance Committee. So now we're moving on to Architectural Standards in here.
Hello, my name is Kerry Clevenger. I'm on board here.
It's on closer to you.
on the board here, and I'm also the board liaison and a volunteer on the Architectural Standards Committee. And the Architectural Standards Committee interprets and enforces the CC&R standards and rules relating to residential and family construction landscape with the goal to preserve the natural setting and beauty of the property, to establish and preserve harmonious and aesthetically pleasing design for the property, and to protect and promote the value of property. Committee members are committed to certain committee members are committed to serving the community and to act fairly and equitably. These are the statistics for in terms of the number of projects that have been submitted to the ASC, and there was a total of 198 submitted this past year, and 156 were approved and 42 were denied. And so first time approval rate was 81%. And what else do we have? The ASC welcomes new members. The function is central to the overall function of the SRA. All changes to home exteriors, painting, roof replacement, remodeling, and landscaping require ASC approval. No ASC, then we don't have repairs in buildings. So it's a very, very important function of the SRA. The minimum required quorum is 3. As of now, we have 5 members going forward, and we're authorized for up to 10 members. With more members, each member's job gets easier. Yeah, and a wide variety of experience and expertise is very helpful. Building trades, civil engineering, homeowners association, land use laws, architecture, realty, and just being a homeowner. I'd say, you know, I'm kind of a little bit cross purposes here in the sense of saying it is a really tough job, and I think everybody who gets on that committee is super terrific and wonderful, because it's just a big commitment, and it's so very hard to be respectful and to value people's dreams about building a custom home in this neighborhood, but at the same time trying to hold people accountable and trying to be a judge of what's reasonable and what's not reasonable in terms of building in this community. So in any case, it's a hard job, but we really need more help. So anybody who wants to volunteer, please contact Carol. I guess that's it, right?
Mhm.
Thanks, Karen.
So continuing with other committee reports, the communication committee. So it's a goal to keep the community informed of selected activities, events, and topics of interest. One of the things the communication committee did this year was advertise for SRA events, including helping to publicize the town halls. They also worked on a newsletter. There's a little picture of it to the right. There were the greeters program led by Tippy Vaughn, Pam Moroso, and Valerie Norris. And they have also provided support at town halls, such as checking people in.
And Darcy Woods.
And Darcy, that's right, yeah. Okay. So the election committee is there to assist the board in providing oversight to election activities, and also providing recommended updates or changes to election process, and proposing that to the board for their approval, modification, or rejection. So this year, the election committee provided oversight and executed key tasks in filling a board vacancy due to a resignation. They initiated creation of an election form, and they defined the 2025 AGM election timeline timeline. Environmental Committee. Some of the highlights here of their work. So the first bullet there is a very important work. Environmental Committee members served on the cross-committee collaboration with the Safety and Security Committee on Wildfire Mitigation. There are also several SRA newsletters with environmental subjects such as the giant sequoia at WWU, local bird migration and feeders, where are the bees, and facts about neonicotine pesticides. There was also a litter pickup day, some other topics that they look at, light pollution and climate change. And there's going to be a look at 2026 priorities for the Environmental Committee. So the Governance Committee, this year the board had no assignments for the committee. Safety and Security.
On most of much of what we have to report from the Safety and Security Committee has already been included in the general comments. Can you hear me all right? Am I close enough to the mic? Yeah. Okay. Some of our accomplishments for 2025. There was a request to bring CERT training, community emergency response team training, closer to Semiahmoo, rather than us having to drive to Sudden Valley or, down to Bellingham. And we were able to do that in March and April. CERT training was held in conjunction with the Safety and Security Committee at Birch Bay Village. We worked with them to get enough people involved in CERT training that the volunteers that do the training, and they are volunteers, would drive all the way up here at night and then drive back home at night to complete the course. So we did have we had about 28 total attendees for that course. And some of the people in this room were even involved in the final exam, which is a mock disaster. So thank you for that. And then I also wanted to mention that many of the members of the Safety and Security Committee also formed something called BERT training, which is Blaine Emergency Response Team training. And that's led by Katie Harkleroad of the Safety and Security Committee, and also by our mayor, Mary Lou Stewart, who's a retired physician. And so the content of the CERT training is being taught once a month in Blaine at the Senior Center. And the topics change. So look for the SRA this week, announcements of when those trainings are going to occur, so that you can, if there's something that you're interested in learning about, you can attend that without having to go through the whole 8-week CERT course. So we appreciate their work. The other thing that we've been involved with, as Debbie was saying, is the Wildfire Mitigation Working Group. And that is a group of multiple committee members. So it's architectural standards, it's maintenance, environmental, and safety and security. Volunteers from those various committees that have worked with Whatcom Conservation District. You had Robert Walters here and for the June town hall speaking, as well as the Washington Forestry Service have come out here and have inspected all of our common areas, as well as that the SRA owns, and I'll show you what those are in a second here, but also the common areas that are owned by several of the organized neighborhood HOAs. And we were able to cobble together $20,000 worth of grant money between the SRA and the neighborhood HOAs that came into the community to begin initial mitigation for wildfire mitigation for our common areas. The one that has been started for SRA is Tract C along Semiahmoo Parkway, is owned by all of us. It's between Prestwick Village neighborhood and the parkway. It's that wooded area right along the parkway. So we've taken down all of the dead trees. That was done in May. And then in November, we're going to, once all the leaves are down, we're going to do the ground fuel mitigation. So that all the dead wood that's in there, the trees fall in winter storms, and the city comes along and cuts them up and then throws them back into the buffer area, right? So we've got all these dead logs that are on the ground, but we also have Himalayan blackberries that are invasive and combustible in drought conditions. We have holly, which we did not know was also highly flammable and invasive. We have ground cover growing into trees. Okay, and we don't want that. So prepare you for what you will see along the parkway in that first track is they want us, the forestry department and Whatcom Conservation District said the same thing. We want separation between ground covers and lower limbs of trees. Because you don't want, if there is an ignition, then it typically will come from the road. So that's why they said work on Semiahmoo Parkway first. That's your busiest road. Then go to Drayton Harbor Road. That's your next busiest road. So that's what we're doing. And but if there is an ignition, you want to keep it on the ground where it's defensible by the firefighters. You do not want to have it get up into the crowns of trees, especially our conifer trees, because they are more flammable. They have resin, so they're more flammable, and you're going to have embers blowing into the neighborhoods. So you want to create that separation. So you're going to see that there's going to be some mitigation along that area. You'll see what's coming for next year as well. The other thing that, and I'll talk about next year in a second, the other thing that we've been working on quite extensively is with Fire Commissioner Craig Anthony, who spoke at the April town hall. He's a Semiahmoo resident, lives on Wood Duck Way. We've been trying to understand, as you know, the levy lid lift proposition failed last year at the ballot. So we've been trying to understand what happened. What were the voting statistics? Trying to understand how that impacts our insurance ratings, trying to understand what are the response times in Semiahmoo versus East Blaine versus Birch Bay. What are the types of calls? And so he's been doing extensive research because next month, the fire commissioners will be meeting and they will be voting on whether to offer another levy lid lift opportunity next year. It would be on the August ballot. And if so, how much to ask for. So we've been preparing information, gathering information that if they vote yes, they want to put that on the ballot, we're ready to go with facts and information for you all year long. So you are prepared to vote. And we have two opportunities. One is education. The other one is turnout. Okay. So we want everyone to be aware of what the reality of our situation is in terms of emergency response here in Semiahmoo, and you can vote appropriately. So that's this year. So next year, we're going to really go to work on the wildfire mitigation for the ground fuels. Okay, and creating that separation between the native vegetation that's on the ground and the trees along all of our buffers. And so if you could, let's see, maybe I can do it.
I just changed. Oh, there we go.
There it is.
There it is.
Okay, so what the red areas that you see here are the areas that are owned by SRA, the buffer areas that are owned by SRA. And what's interesting about this is it's a hodgepodge. So here's the parkway where we're coming up here from Lincoln Road, and then here we're going past the first gate here. So this is Stonehaven, and we don't own any of the buffer area in Stonehaven. Then we go, this is the golf course, we don't own that. But so the first thing that we own is Prestwick Village. That's the one that we're working on this year, that buffer area. The next one that we own is Turnberry. Okay, that's gonna be moved into 2026.
Can you keep the mic closer to
Oh,
your
I'm
mouth?
sorry.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, thank you. And then the next thing we own, so then if you look, the golf course owns this, and Glen Eagle Villas, and Sea Smoke, then Boundary Ridge up here. But notice that along Drayton Cove, we own Drayton Cove. So there's a combination. Some NHOAs own all the way to the street. Some do not. And so some have SRA buffers that are owned by all of us. So these red areas are what we will be working on as the things that are owned by us. The other thing that we're going to be working on is continued funding. We don't know what the funding is going to be from the Washington DNR next year, but some types of fundings are reimbursement grants. Other types of funding are matching grants. Matching grants can be used for private property, which means the golf course and the resort can apply for matching grants. Individual homeowners can apply for matching grants. So if those become available in 2026, we will let you know. We will work with the forestry department to find out what the matching schedule is and see if we can take advantage of some of those resources that are available to us. As you know, the state has has a budget shortfall. So we don't yet know how much or even whether there will be reimbursement grants or matching grants, but we will keep you informed of that. So that, and then the other thing is if the levy lift is going to be on the ballot, we'll keep you informed about that as well. So that's safety and security.
Yep, Delia, everyone always appreciates your work and thank you.
Thank you.
So thanks so much. Alrighty. Election results at last. Okay. So we had a couple of election volunteers, Patrick Wells and Ed Castaneda. They oversaw the count that Lori does, giving a little bit of oversight into what's done. So we really appreciate your work on that. Okay. So the first election result is for the budget, and a budget will be ratified unless a majority of the votes in the association reject the budget. So because only 5.36% voted to reject, the budget was ratified. So there was a board resolution to reduce mandatory town hall meetings from 4 to 2. So this type of resolution is subject to a 40% quorum, and the amendment must be approved by owners holding at least 2/3 of the votes cast. And the votes to approve were at 85.51%. So the amendment resolution was approved. Election results for the candidates. So congratulations to Carrie Clevenger, Delia Alberstein, Jim Simpson. Is Jim here? No? Okay. Luc Clement, again, he's in Israel, and Andrew. So congratulations to all of you, and thank you for running as well. So thank you. Okay, so we're moving on to the member open forum and the protocol. is to, if you're on the Zoom, that you would sign up to speak in the chat. And, or if you're in the room, we can maybe start by having you raise your hand. We'll see if we have to have people line up. So remember to state your name and address, or you can say like, and if you don't want to mention your actual address, you can say like Royal Troon number 13. And so the questions and answer time limit is 3 minutes. And an additional 3 minutes may be yielded to a speaker, but no more than that. So we're going to, allow 3 minutes and then move to a different speaker, and then someone who's already spoken can come back for 3 minutes if there's time. Okay, so 30 seconds of time remaining. So at the 2.5 minute mark, Lori will remind people that they have 30 seconds. Lori, are you okay with doing that? Okay. Okay, so let's limit it to questions, comments, ideas, opinions, criticisms, and gratitude, but no personal attacks, please. And okay, so we've already had Mark answer some questions. So we'll go to the room and then get back to Mark if there's another question as they come up. Okay. Okay. Yes.
Hi. Do I need the microphone? Hi, everybody. I'm Dana Cohenauer. I live in Boundary Ridge 2 on Shearwater Road. And I just wanted to invite you all to our annual caroling program that's going to be happening on December 13th on a Saturday. This is a wonderful tradition that has been going on since soon after the whole resort opened and the whole community was built. The very first one was just a group of the first residents hanging out in the front of the hotel and just singing a cappella carols. And it grew over all those years into an annual tradition that both the resort and the SRA supported and put together. And I know there is at least one photo that was in the paper from 1997 of the carolers from that year. I got involved, I don't know, about 18 years ago, maybe 19, or maybe more actually, because our son was only about 3 or 4 when he first started coming. He's 23. So it's been going on full steam since then. And we used to have it right here at the resort. And then the pandemic kind of put a kibosh on the whole thing. But we are very fortunate. The golf club has come through and they are supporting it once again. So I'd love to have you come. I'm a children's singer-songwriter, recording artist. So I do a lot of music for children already. So I'll do a special program for the kids. Santa Claus will come at 4:30. I'll do a program for kids at 5 o'clock. So please spread the word to any grandkids or children that you know, or just children of your own. And we'll do that. And then we'll have a community sing along and we keep it upbeat and fun. And then afterwards, you're welcome to make a reservation for dinner at the club. So I just wanted to invite you all and tell you to spread the word and come celebrate the season with us. December 13th, and it'll be at the golf club this year.
Hey, Dana, I played Easter Bunny for 14 years. So if you need someone, I may not fit the build, but we can talk. I played Easter Bunny for 14 years. So
So Lori, are there any questions online in the chat? Okay. Yes, Steve.
Thank you. I'm Steve Haynes. I live at 5416 Old Finch Way, Green Hillside. I'd like to thank the maintenance committee and the board for paying attention to important infrastructure like roads and gates. But we need to ask the board about the directions it has been taking relative to its representation of this community. I've been a part-time resident and homeowner here at Semiahmoo for 20 years and a permanent resident for 5. During the last 5 years, we've had 3 general managers, a recall of a board president, a dismissal without cause or due process of 2 ASC committee members by late Friday night emails, which I fondly refer to as the Friday night massacre. A major unresolved lawsuit about the stormwater drainage system, a declining number of residents interested in serving on the board or its committees, mass resignations from the landscape subcommittee of the ASC, fewer meetings than required by their charters in the bylaws of the environment and governance committees, multiple resignations from the communications and elections committees, continuing efforts to diminish communication between the board and the members of the community by repealing sections of Article 809 of the CC&Rs, and most recently, the erasure of portions of the posted video of the public meeting of the Board of Directors on October 15th, and the resignation of a prominent board member. Now, it's very hard to get the board to answer questions or release information, but it appears that the missing portion of the most recent board meeting is related to the decision to qualify as members of the SRA, persons who have ownership stakes in the Semiahmoo Resort, even though they don't live here. According to an email from the general manager, this is based on section 205 of the CCRs, which gives the owners of commercial property in Semiahmoo membership in the SRA. Coupled with an interpretation of Washington state case law that provides that a corporation, doesn't say if an individual's residence is deemed to be in any county where the corporation transacts business or has an office for the transaction of business. And we're not going to resolve this issue here, but I offer that changing the representation of the resort from its current form expressed in bylaw 4.1 to allowing non-resident representatives of the resort to become elected board members without public discussion of that change is one of the more egregious examples of the board not caring to know what the community thinks about its management decisions. This one could open the door, potentially, to corporate control of the SRA. A return to regular order in which the membership is given the opportunity for exchange of ideas and reactions to such proposals by the board before they are instituted seems wise to me. To correct this situation, we need board members willing to do the work that will entail.
Thank you.
Okay. So, okay,
Anyone else?
Harvey,
Next.
Is there a response?
so there was a lot of things. There's a lot of things talked about, but as far as the resort representative, I'll just let you know what happened with that. So as we've gone through the process of starting to look at our governing documents to be in compliance with the law we have to be in compliance with at 1/1/28, it was noticed that what we had in the bylaw 4.1, a couple of problematic sentences there. One was allowing for the appointment of a board member. So that is contrary to Washington state law. And so when that was noticed, there's also, I think, like 8.6 perhaps of our CC&Rs, it says appointments like that are not allowed, and anyone who notices an appointment to the board needs to call it out immediately. So that's what happened. And when that happened, Mark Andrew graciously stepped off of the board. So in 2014 through this year, a resort representative was always a voting member of the board, but they were appointed. So when we saw that that was a problem in the governing documents and in the process, we went to our lawyer and we said, is there a legal pathway for for a resort representative to be on the board. Now, in the CCNRs, it says that commercial members have all of the rights and responsibilities of other members. So you may know that they pay dues. And an important, so that's one of the important obligations. And one of the important rights of a member is to be able to run for a position on the board. So this is from our lawyer, so how does a commercial owner, how do they go on the board? So a commercial owner may designate someone to be their representative. And in Washington State, the definition of a resident, it's not where the owner lives. It's where the corporation, the corporation does business and operates. So the residency is based on the business's residency. So it's met the bylaw requirement for residency as determined by our legal counsel. So that's in 2014, when it was put into the bylaws that the person would be appointed. I think that the board at the time had very good intentions. And so we've always had since then, at least, we've always had a resort representative as a voting member on the board. But the change in the process was to make it compliant with the law and to have the resort representative has to run for office just like any other person who wants to be on the board. So I think it was important not to disenfranchise any candidates. So that was an important part of that decision. So, did you want to say something, Carrie? Okay.
I think, I just want to say, it is really hard to get people to be involved in the SRA and in the HOA and doing all this stuff. So I do want to say, I appreciate Steve's interest and dedication to trying to have his voice heard. And I don't think that we always agree on everything, but as far as a corporate takeover of our HOA, I think that's a little bit fear mongering. And I think we don't have enough people who even ran for the board. So it's largely symbolic, and that's.
Thanks, Carrie. Any questions online, Lori? Okay. Okay. Yes.
Hi, I'm Jason Cohenauer. Dana's my wife. She's doing the caroling events. We are in Boundary Ridge 2 on Shearwater. So I have a concern and a question for the board. And that concern and question were also outlined in a letter to the board from last night, which is also supported by a number of the residents. So we have copies if anybody wants to see that letter. The subject of the letter is the recent removal of trees and foliage from the western border of the Sea Smoke developments. And that letter also expresses concern about their removal because they serve an important aesthetic function as well as help with stormwater mitigation. So kind of a two-part question related to the recent tree removal. Number one, was the tree removal in compliance with the approved plan? And number two, if not, why was it allowed? And what remedies and penalties will be implemented on the I assume it's the developer who removed the tree. So that's kind of part one. Was it in compliance with the plan? And if not, why was it allowed and what remedies are we going to apply? And then the second kind of broader question is, given that there is known severe stormwater removal issues in Boundary Ridge 2, given there have been millions of dollars in damage to Boundary Ridge homes related to stormwater and insufficient removal in the past few years, or victims, given the litigation against the SRA and developer related to stormwater removal and its insufficiency in Boundary Ridge 2, and given the existence of a report from a stormwater expert that found A, the volume of stormwater is way higher than previously thought in that sea smoke area and adjacent area, and B, that the stormwater removal system is just way undersized for the job it needs to do. Why not have, so here's the next question, why not have a moratorium on tree removal, all tree removal, especially in those risky areas, unless needed for fire mitigation and, you know, other safety hazards? Why not just say no more until we figure this out? And furthermore, no more development in sea smoke until we figure this out. So that's a two-part question. Is the tree, was the tree removal in compliance with the plan? And if not, why was it allowed? Maybe we'll tackle that part first. And then secondly, why not have a moratorium?
I'll tackle the first part of that. I've been working with, okay, I'll wait for the microphone. I'll tackle the first part and probably part of the second part as well. The first part, in regards to the tree removal and everything that's happening on Track D at Sea Smoke. I've met with the developers. I have met with their landscape team. The ASC committee has met with and walked Track D with Wayne and Ted as well. In regards to the tree removal, let's start away from the buffer, which is 20 feet from the street, from the walkway in. The tree removal for building of lots 1 through 6 and everything that was clear cut inside there is approved. With the building of the homes, there were no homes, there were no trees that would be left in regards to those homes being built. We tried to leave some of them where we could, if it was going to be possible, but once the layout of the homes themselves and the location of the trees, the removal was approved accordingly for there. In regards to the buffer, again, I met with Wayne and Ted and Paul George, and we walked through that. We identified a number of trees, A, that needed to come down, B, that straddled the 20-foot barrier, C, that we're leaning towards the street that may need to come out and should come out because sooner or later they were going to come down. And D, there's also a roadway, and access by lot number 6, 5, 6, 7, and 8 that needed to be cleared as well. The answer is yes, the trees that were taken down in the buffer were approved. Yes, there were other trees based on the timeline and based on when they were moving through the process that needed to come down as part of it. Do I like it? No. It's wide open. But I've also been working with Paul George in regards to what will be the replanting and the reforestation of that buffer zone. And that should be happening within the next 6 to 8 weeks. And so the trees that we're looking at will be mature trees that are going to be planted in that area. They will be 6, 7 feet type trees. Ground cover will also be planted. There is irrigation that's being piped from the current irrigation around into that area. So all of those things that are being planted will be irrigated properly through the winter to ensure that they are thriving and able to grow and grow the roots that they're supposed to. And anything that dies will be replaced immediately by the developers and by their landscape team. I mean, I walk by it almost every day as well, just like everybody else. And I appreciate everybody's concern on that. My biggest concern, of course, and the ASC's concern was, what's going to happen if there's a big rain? What's going to happen with the water and the drainage that comes downhill from the current sea smoke area and such? There is drainage in place there right now. Most of the drainage and the retention pond that's in Track D drain towards, I'll call it the four-way stop, as well as the drain that goes down towards the SRA building, which is street and Blaine City responsibility. But yet I've also had our boys taking care of some of that as well in the interim when the city doesn't have the time. I won't answer too much in regards to the second question, unfortunately, Jason. Some of the mitigation and some of the remediation in regards to the situation in Boundary Ridge and with the lawsuit is still pending and ongoing. And so I can't answer that information. I know that there are plans, hopefully, to be doing what we need to do or what needs to be done based on the court's direction and based on whatever situation comes to a amicable end of that.
What about
We don't have, and I won't use I'll speak up. We don't have the ability to tell the city they can't allow or give out permits accordingly for things. We don't access the permit for the clear cutting that was done for the first 6 houses that were in there. We will take a look and give them the direction as to what they can and can't do. But once the city has the permits out there, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of power.
That is the problem, and why it's so hard to be on the AC is really, we don't have a lot of power. I mean, our job is really to make sure that when people build, that it fits aesthetically in the community. But as far as whether people can build or not, it really is up to the city.
The more, oh, sorry.
And the other thing that's kind of interesting, the more, the irony of what happened there with those big trees in the buffer was that they got permission to cut them down based on the fact that they were putting a drain pipe in that buffer. So we, as the AC, are trying to work with the city to make sure that people cannot put drainage or utilities in the tree buffer zone. So again, like what Aaron said is very true. Like all of us are shocked that that's what happened, and we felt kind of like he steamrolled us, but so we are trying to change our CC&Rs or our standards to make sure that tree buffers are left anyway.
My comments to Wayne and Ted, and just a sec, Steve, the developers for Sea Smoke, Razor Home, was the optics, and, the optics of exactly what happened there, and where we were going to go accordingly. So again, know that I'm doing my utmost best to ensure that that is taken care of to our abilities.
Complain too much?
No, please.
Water is not covered by homeowners policies. So in addition to being very disruptive, it's very expensive. These are unplanned renovations well into the hundreds of thousands of dollars per home. We are undergoing one right now, so it's a real issue.
I understand. I've seen all the work.
So, Delia has this.
Hold on.
I was given the impression. I was given the impression by you when I came to the office the other day that at least 6 of the trees had not been approved. You actually said that to me. So therein lies our question. Were all of those trees actually approved by the city and the SRA? And if they were not, what remedies are there now? And just by the way, planting 6 or 7 foot high trees is not the same as the old growth, old root systems that do keep the erosion from happening, and they do soak up some of that stormwater. So it is not the same to just say we're putting in some shrubs and a few 6-foot trees. And not to mention the whole ambiance and the beauty that we all live here for.
Oh, I just wanted to, Jason and Dana, I just want to let you know that, there was a public hearing in 2024 on the development of those lots and Sea Smoke. And the SRA very strongly wrote a letter. We did not want that approved for the very reasons that you outlined. Boundary Ridge 1, also the HOA, also wrote a very strong letter to the city saying we did not want that approved on behalf of our neighbors in Boundary Ridge 2, who were already experiencing stormwater issues. It was to no avail. They approved it anyway. So we tried, you know, within the legal process that the city provides, we tried, so.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kieran Brennan. I just want to quickly talk about some of the things that we're talking about. I have a confession to make. I am an attorney, and that makes things complicated because I have to remind everybody that we are on the same team. We're all working together. And so, in that vein, as we are all working together, I have to say things like, very often when people ask questions and they want immediate answers, some of the questions have complicated legal implications that require a long time to answer, or we can't answer, or we can't talk about in, say, this kind of forum. So I wanted to say that part of the reason it may feel harder to communicate with the board is that every email, every phone call, every statement that mentions legal representation on the part of a board member makes it more and more complicated for people to talk about things. It becomes an adversarial relationship rather than a team. So a lot of the things that we aren't talking about are because we can't talk about them, because I without mentioning anything that's going on in the SRA. Let's start there. Hypothetically, if everybody is on the same team and everybody threatens to sue everyone, a lot of stuff can't happen. Again, this is just a hypothetical situation. So hopefully that hypothetical conversation helps you understand some of the complications that we're struggling with. Another thing, the way that our governing documents are structured are complicated. It takes a long time to enforce all of the regulations and compliance that are baked into our documents. Just like any long process, legislative process, some of the documents conflict with other documents. Sometimes something that's in a charter here is not allowed in a bylaw here because it was written several months, years, decades after, and then they don't comply with the CC&Rs. And then those CC&Rs that we're allowed to amend don't comply with the law. So in the big picture, sometimes we're not going to be able to talk about stuff, and sometimes that's our own fault. I just wanted to go back to this statement by Mr. Haynes. The problem is, in this last sentence that I take umbrage with, is that this is a very complicated position. This is my 1-year anniversary being on the board. Every single email, every single unsolicited text messages that I get, I would like to resign. It would be very easy for me to be off the board. Unfortunately, we have to have a board and we have to have committees to be able to do the things that we have to do as an HOA. And so when we have resignations and when we have different things happen that we then can't talk about, it makes it very hard to continue operations, because all of a sudden now we're scrambling to fill holes where they are now. And I want to use this as an advertisement. please continue to volunteer. Please become part of this process. Please make yourselves known. Come to the meetings, and that is because misery loves company. So please join me so that we can all work together to figure out a way to communicate the things that you would like to know about while still being able to maintain the operations that we have to do by law with the low numbers that we have. This final sentence is, to correct the situation, we need a board with members willing to do the work that entails. This is weekends, this is afternoons. I am full-time employed, but I'm also doing this on the weekends and the afternoons and committee meetings. All of the board members are doing that. I'd like to remind you that, since we're on the same team. So please swing by. There are a lot of former board presidents, members here. They can probably tell you that this is not a once a month kind of thing. So anyway, thank you.
Okay, yeah, Doug.
Probably, because I think everybody can be, to Steve's point and to Karen's point, community participation in SRA is really important. And Karen says we have to be part of the team. But over the course of the last 2 years, there's been an adversarial approach to the community from the board leadership. Now, I'm not saying from all the board members, but from certain board members that were in a leadership position, there's been a very strong adversarial position towards people that have been actively involved in the community, people that are trying to make our community better. But I just think that when the board looks at a lack of community participation, it needs to look in the mirror and say, how do we generate involvement and how do we create enthusiasm in our community? Because this community is so unique and so beautiful. Communities on the western coast of the United States. Yet we aren't just waving our hands up saying how absolutely fabulous it is to live here. Yeah. In this room that served on the board. Or a committee. This group, and there's a lot more that are not, that are online. Yeah. That, so I think that it's really important when we look at ourselves and say, how are we communicating? Delia, you have been absolutely fabulous this year. The involvement in the community and the way you handle it, and it's been very helpful. And I just think, you know.
So Lori, any questions online? It's going back. Okay. Yes, sir.
This gentleman in the booth that had his hand up for a long time.
Yes, if you can.
My name's Jim Sylvester. I live at 5578 Sandpiper Lane. Fairly new resident. We moved in like 6 months ago. And my question goes to the stormwater end of it. I have extensive experience in civil work and stormwater work. It's kind of a complicated system, I believe. It's intertwined with the city of Blaine and the golf course. My question is who heads up the maintenance of the ditch along Semiahmoo Parkway, the golf course structures with overflows, the retention ponds that are probably overgrown? Who would I go to find out more information about that?
I'll give you a quick answer to that because it's multi-parted.
like the drainage along the Parkway and the Drive and Drayton Harbor or city responsibilities. There are certain retention ponds throughout the communities in the different NHOAs. Some are handled by the SRA, some are handled by the individual NHOAs. Golf course such is of course the golf course. So it's multifaceted as to who and what and where. So depending on exactly what I can help you with a little bit in direction wise, but there's a lot of pieces to it.
Neighbors bring in to the structures on the golf course. And then that drains in to pond. Pond drains into a manhole that goes across Semi-Alma Parkway into a retention pond over there somewhere.
So like the two ponds and the two fountains out in front of the entrance to Prestwick are Prestwick responsibility. The manhole or anything going across the parkway or the drains on either side of the parkway are the responsibility of the city. The retention pond that would be on the other side is the responsibility of the city, or it could be the county, depending on what part and where things are at. So I can't give you a one-off answer to that because of the complication of that. I think the first part would be to start maybe sitting with me and having some discussion with it, and then we can kind of direct you accordingly and see where we need to go from there. That's probably the easiest.
Because if the end of the pipe is plugged up, the maintenance on Semi-Alma's storm system is really burnout.
The people online really can't hear without the mics.
Okay.
They are frustrated with that.
Okay, all right.
I'm
No problem.
sorry.
That's okay, no problem. Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, and let's sit down. Okay. Go to Steve. Go to Steve or Pam. Pam.
It's a good question. Okay. My question is about the recent election committee and the communications committee. Can you hear me? Is this working?
Yeah, a little bit closer to your mouth. There you go. There you go.
Both of these committees have lost quorum. Membership has resigned. And my understanding is all the responsibilities, roles and responsibilities for, again, the communications committee and the elections committee have been transferred to staff. What I'm trying to get an understanding from, and I do have a letter into the board about this, are those responsibilities going to remain permanently staff responsibilities, or will these committees be reconstituted soon, requesting new membership, which I personally would like to see. So my question to the board is, what are the plans for those committees?
Oh, she wants it. Okay.
Okay, yeah, so that is something that the board is going to look at, the structure of the committees. It's a discussion that we plan on having, but it's been tabled for now.
Why?
The long and short of it is that priorities keep popping up that don't allow us to talk about that particular thing at the time that you would like. Well, I'm sorry, but we can't function as an HOA without a board, and when things pop up, things that people know about, we don't have time to work on these lower priority things. The committees existed until they didn't. So this is not, I would like to be able to give you like a better answer, but the committees resigned themselves out of quorum. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I know what the answer is to my particular committee. I mean, if you'd like to have a conversation offline, I'm happy to have that conversation with you, but nobody has ever asked.
Well,
Helen Worley, Prestwick Village, 5571, Sandpiper Lane. I was chair of the election committee a few years back. We have a special election coming up because April resigned, which leaves a vacancy. How is that going to be run? The year that I was chair, my gosh, we had, I think, 4 special elections. It was crazy, talk about work. But we did every single one of them. That is a job of the election committee, not the staff, and the board needs to find people, invite people to form a new election committee and have one of them as chair. And that's how are you going to do it? And that I think is very important because it's about our representation. So I urge you to do that as a very high priority.
Okay. So, the election committee, many months ago, we'll go back a couple of years. In 2023, the election committee resigned en masse. So it was very chaotic. I don't know. So that happened in 2023, and then it was reconstituted after that, and it was pretty smooth sailing through 2024. So this year in 2025, the election committee, months and months before the AGM, repeatedly threatened to resign en masse. And so at that time, we had to get advice, and the advice is that those tasks revert to the staff. So Lori, actually, according to our governing documents, really the election tasks are mostly for the staff to do. And the election committee has given oversight. So I think there's been a lot of confusion about the role of the election committee. Like there's been claims that misunderstanding that it's supposed to be a totally independent committee, separate from the board. And so the independence, if you read the governing documents, the independence means that someone serving on the committee has not been in the board for the past 12 months or currently on the board, and is not related to anyone currently on the board or serving on the board in the last 12 months. Independence also means that they haven't currently applied to be running for a position on the board. So it also means assisting with independent oversight. That's what the independence of the election committee means. So the role of the election committee, as kind of paraphrasing from the governing documents, the board may create an election committee to provide oversight. And if so, the election committee shall assist the board and make recommendations to the board for approval, modification, rejection. Words like accept as otherwise directed by the board, initiate and conduct events in a cooperative manner with the board. So it's not a totally independent, that's not how it's defined in the governing documents. It's supposed to be assisting the board, and the governing documents also says that the staff's role is to vet the candidates, and the election committee would receive the names of the candidates vetted by the staff. So we've heard a lot from the election committee on the record that they're supposed to be totally independent. They're supposed to vet the candidates. And we haven't found that, you know, trying to set up meetings with them, it's, they've been refusing to attend meetings. And when they attended meetings, they didn't want to hear what Aaron had to say. So they have to work cooperatively, and that's not what we found happening. And we bent over backwards through the year to try to keep them working for the good of the community. But they all finally resigned.
They chose to resign.
Okay.
Any other comments?
Anything online, Lori? Okay.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Doug? Let's move this along.
Just gonna say thank you to all the board members, all of the volunteers in the community that have been participating, and to our staff for keeping this together.
Thank you.
And I'll just ask if there are any other questions for Mark, since he's here today. Like about any rumors. Have we put there was one rumor, Mark, I'll let you talk about.
Gosh, if you want me to talk about rumors, I'll be here all day.
So was there a question about rumors? Oh,
Yes.
Michelle, what's your name and
There you go.
You're not the only Paquin is gonna talk today. Michelle Paquin, 8608 Great Horn Howe. You spoke very nicely about the future plan, which seems to be for the next year or so. But the rumor is still there about the VIP retirement plan that's coming up.
Having run retirement communities, as I said initially across Canada, I think it's a beautiful idea. Wouldn't really pay for itself. This is where we're located at the tip of Semiahmoo Spit here. And it is a resort. We drive revenues, we drive tax dollars to the city of Blaine. We know we're valued for that. We drive the excitement of Semiahmoo as an active place. It is not a retirement community in and of itself. It is a place where we draw people in from all around, not only the United States, but the world, to come here and celebrate what the Pacific Northwest has to offer. Our job is to sell that. Over the past 10 years, we got pretty good about that. We were very busy, over 50% occupancy over the course of the year in 2018-19, then kind of went back down with COVID, haven't really recovered. The world has changed. We have to market differently. We're doing that. But we don't get the business, as I said, from Canada. We used to, although I'm happy to share with anybody a pen that looks like this. It has a US flag and a Canadian flag with a little Semiahmoo great blue heron in the middle. But happy to say that in the long-term projections, it is not in the plans. The plans are actually to get another investor. So if we've got somebody with several million that would like to invest and become an additional partner in Semiahmoo, that is actually out there, because we would very much like to do things like fix the pier that's out there. I mentioned the barn. I'd love to revitalize the barn, where the old cannery actually is what it is. I'd love to revitalize some of the space we have here. I did this ballroom, this carpet, this wall covering in 2014. Probably some of these things need to be renovated and fixed. So the focus is very much going forward to keep Semiahmoo Resort Golf and Spa a resort destination that will attract people from around the world. When we get groups here, they love it. So our plans are to keep heading in that direction. No luxury, I apologize, no luxury retirement community. But who knows, things have changed over the past years. I can tell you, after having run them in Canada, again, I ran Tapestry, active aging, independent adult communities. Those are great. There's a lot of pros to it, a lot of cons also. So I think Semiahmoo is we used to call buildings that went from actively bought to retirement buildings, called them NORCs, naturally occurring retirement communities. And we are a retirement community, yet we are an active community. As Semiahmoo, everything around you. There are people doing more stuff. Just the enthusiasm in this room for wanting to make it better is huge. And how we harness that, how we keep driving that forward, believe me, I sell it all the time. When I talk to people, bring your group to Semiahmoo, you will experience a place like no other. So the future, as far as the vision of ownership, is to keep this entity going. They didn't stop. They do want us to refocus on sales, get the groups coming in here. We are going to do that. We are doing that. Next September is a very busy time for this property. The World Cup, we hope will keep putting us on the map, not us Semiahmoo, but us, you know, this part of paradise between Seattle and Vancouver. And so I think the future is very, very bright from that.
Good to hear.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Yes, Jeffrey, what is your, what's your address or unit?
Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Jeff Stevenson. I live at Barron. I've been in Semiahmoo since 1996, so I've been around a while. The point I want to raise last year at the board meeting, at this meeting, and I specifically raised it with regard to the assessment we all pay towards the long range capital reserve. And I made the statement last year that it's a scam. Now, I am formerly once a CPA. I read numbers, I understand them. Last year, the board said, and I did talk one occasion to Aaron, talked on another occasion briefly to Debbie, that I wanted to be involved in a review of this plan. And the basis of my involvement was that I was on the board of the Barron condos for nearly 2 years. And I got into the plan provided by the same consultant. As a result of getting into the plan, and getting access to the software, the collection amount for the Barron was reduced from $592 per condo per month to $120. And I would submit to you, and Aaron finally sent me the latest update. And what we're paying is about between 2 and 3 times on the capital collection we should be. And if you ask Aaron, I'm sure he'll send you a copy. But in this budget, 21.5% is towards the capital reserve. Say a fifth. I pay about $1,500 a year to the SRA, so about $300 of what I pay is towards the capital reserve. If you look at the budget numbers, there's direct conflict in the budget 2026 budget, and I feel that we need to get into it line by line by line by line. One of the things we did in the Barron is we hired an independent building consultant who value these things, value the items, and many items in the estimate provided by the consultant used by the SRA, Pacific Capital Reserves, were found to be grossly wrong. Now, the reason they're grossly wrong is, I'll use the coarse phrase, he's protecting his ass by collecting more money than he needs so that nobody can come back and sue him that he underestimated. And we're in a situation where I've asked and volunteered to participate. I hope this year, Rod, you'll take it up and we can get into this issue. I think I'm contributing about $200 a year more than necessary, and each of you can take the capital contribution, which, by the way, has gone up. Let me give you 2 simple numbers. Built on the basis that long-term inflation is going to be 5% and long-term interest rates are going to be 5%. Anytime you find that, just let me know. I'd love to invest in 5% 30-year interest rates. Thank you.
Sure, Dave.
Yeah, I've been working on Dave Whitmore and Wausau Road. I've been working on the capital budget and the reserves plan for the past 4 or 5 years. And under the table, work on there and then the group.
Can't hear you.
We had an issue. I had an issue several years ago that none of the assets in Semiahmoo were defined. You know, they would basically do a swag at the capital budget. The consultant they have in basically got input from the SRA management, and they threw it in their computer and came up with their analysis that they're supposed to do, and they still do that. But it's up to the SRA team to give them good numbers. And so I think I went through the capital reserve budget. I think it's very reasonable, and it's based on the expected life of the assets you have. Now, there is a downfall that Aaron didn't mention, a risk and the reserve. Is that if you take all of the assets, the drainage system, the roads, all the asphalt paving, all the concrete work in the whole thing, your $1 million building you have here, take all those assets, add them up, and say, okay, what's the value of all that stuff? Well, it's around $40 or $50 million. We have $40 or $50 million worth of assets here. So let's just say you have to replace that sometime in the next 100 years or in infinity, it doesn't matter. You need about $400,000 a year to be able to do that. And that's about where our capital budget is right now. It may vary up and down, but it is not ripping people off. I can guarantee you that. And I did want to also acknowledge the maintenance group, and Aaron and the groups have been working on that. All of the items that I had in there that I was concerned about have been basically taken care of. Learned about the Drayton Harbor easement, about the stairway, and a whole bunch of stuff that he's been working on, and it's all being handled. So I'm real happy with where the money's being spent, and we're getting our butts back for what we're spending on. Huh?
30 seconds.
Okay. So I just want to acknowledge the group and Aaron and the maintenance group, and they've done a great job taking care of our assets and all the gates and the signs and all the stuff in great shape. So the roads are doing okay. Probably gonna start repaving something here Wednesday. It's gonna cost a few bucks, but
Yep.
you know, it's covering up the cracks with tar on my glass. So but anyway, great job.
Thank you, Dave.
And that's about it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can I speak?
Oh, certainly. Oh, sorry.
I heard the comment.
Hold on.
Unfortunately, I do now have to mention that the SRA does not endorse any comments about anybody, any businesses that the membership makes at this meeting. Thank you.
Thanks. So, yeah, people can't hear you unless I give you the microphone. but-
Go give him the mic. Yeah. Please. Not mine.
I heard the comment earlier that, my name is Sean McDougall. I live in Semiahmoo and been here for 20 years. I just want to say, I heard the comment earlier that we should open up our homes for rentals, short-term rentals. We live in a gated community. I'm strongly opposed to unlimited rentals to maximize profits for the hotel.
I don't know who said that. That's what I honestly didn't know what he thought, but I can tell you, a lot of homes outside of Semiahmoo will be doing that, just so everybody knows, but none of this. I'm glad we don't. Thank you.
I guess I was misled. I had the idea that I would recommend it. Thank you.
So, yeah, to my knowledge, John, that's allowed at beach worker villas, based on their CCNRs, but throughout, most places don't allow short-term rentals. Yeah. Treat me, boo.
All right, call it. Call it, Debbie.
Hey, anybody online? Sorry, okay. All right. So, really appreciate all your input and for listening, and it's good to see you all today. And there's still some snacks and beverages at the back of the room. So, yeah, so we'll wrap it up now.
Thank you.